Today's date is May 21st, 2015. The time is approximately 10:24 a.m. This interview of Homestead Police Chief Alexander Rolle is being conducted by Inspectors Brett Lysette and Louis Negrete from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement's Office of Executive Investigations. This interview relates to FDLE case number EI 738610 and is being conducted at the Homestead Police Department in Homestead, Florida. Chief Rolle, we spoke previously. I think you understand why we're down here. We got a complaint from a Mr. McDonough that alleges the destruction of public records and potential official misconduct on behalf of yourself. You're familiar, I think, with what Mr. McDonough has implied or alleged, I should say, and that's why we're here today, to just kind of get your statement on those issues. Before we get started, you're providing this interview voluntarily and freely. Is that yes, correct? Okay. Before I swear you in, you understand that if you do provide false statements and/or information under oath, you could be criminally charged with perjury. Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. And do you understand that our interview is being recorded?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And please state your full name, date of birth, and address. If you want it to be your business address, that's fine as well.
Alexander E. Rolle, Jr. The address here is, I think, it's 1601 Southeast 28th Avenue.
Okay. And also present during the interview is Mr. Pablo Tamayo. He is representing the city in this matter at the chief's request. Is that
correct? With on behalf of our law firm, Weiss Rhoda, serve the city attorney for Homestead.
Okay. So, I appreciate it. Chief, once again, we really appreciate you taking time out of your day. We know you're busy to talk about Mr. McDonough's complaint. So, a little bit of background. Mr. McDonough provided FDLE a complaint. His complaint was that in February of 2014, he met with you with a friend of his, and he wanted to submit a complaint or discuss concerns that he had with a particular officer in your department. Do you recall that meeting?
I recall that.
Okay. During that meeting, Mr. McDonough indicated that he provided you with various pieces of documentation. He provided, and I have them here with me, and you're more than welcome to look at them, basically saying that this package of documentation, there's about 14 separate pieces that he gave us, they're all right here, that over the course of that meeting, which was an hour to an hour and a half per him, that he gave you this information. Do you recall the meeting, and do you recall discussing the concerns with, Mr. McDonough's concerns about his issues with the police officer here at Homestead?
Yes, I recall.
Okay. Do you recall him having documentation, going over documentation, and reviewing documentation that he provided?
No, I've never seen this before.
Okay.
He showed me something else, something he got from Haymans, and
and that's it. If you keep going, yeah,
okay.
the stuff from actually, okay. You know what? I apologize. I gave you the wrong. Here, let me give you this. This is the stuff. That was stuff that he gave me later. I apologize. He gave me stuff later on. That's the stuff that he actually said that he brought in here and provided to you. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to go through that stuff and see if that looked familiar to you.
No, I didn't go through it with him. He gave me something. He started sharing information with me about it, and my concern was whatever it was. He was telling me it wasn't good. But my concern was what he's actually done here. I'm not concerned about what he did with Haymans before he came here. But I kind of remember him saying something about this guy was in trouble up there, something like that. Okay, that's fine. Whatever he did, I don't tolerate it. I thought it was bad. But as far as me seeing this right here, no.
Okay. Well, and like I said, we wanted to focus. So he did bring documentation with him.
He brought a whole big bag with him.
Okay.
And as far as I can remember, he may have showed me something, but nothing. But I would sit down and just go through and look through the page. He could have showed me something saying, hey, this is what he did in Haymans, and I said, okay, well, all right, fine, but what did he do here?
And so how did that meeting end? To the best of your recollection, what happened?
Well, this is what I did, because normally, you know, I don't deal with complaints. That's why I have internal affairs. The way it ended, I got up and I walked out the office, and the guy who was sitting with him walked out behind me. And while I was standing there, he said, "Hey, Chief, this guy's crazy. Him and his wife, both are crazy," or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't thinking why he told me that, because I kind of figured out myself when the guy was sitting in here. But for this guy to say that to me, I wasn't thinking that the guy was recording me. But he knew what the guy was doing. Mm-hmm. That's why he came out and made that remark to me. He said, "Hey, Chief, this guy's weird. Him and his wife both are weird." And I was like, okay. So I came back in, and I think I went to look for Tony Aquino. At the time he was a detective, but now he's a commander. I think I went to look for him. He wasn't where he was, so I called him. He came right down, and I told Tony Aquino, I said, "This guy got a complaint." You know, he said, "Oh, I know what it's about." You know, apparently they've been working on something before, but I couldn't remember what it was, because he had done some stuff where he called some senators or something. And I told Tony, I said, "Well, take him to the office down there and take his complaint, and whatever it is, we'll deal with it." I said, because I take complaints very seriously here. Mm-hmm. I have a proven record that I don't play games, and whatever this guy got to do, whether it's minor or major, we're going to look into it and we'll address it. That's what I do.
Okay. Well, and now, and we're happy about that as well. Now, you mentioned the recording, and we spoke with Mr. McDonough yesterday. He recorded the meeting. My question to you is, were you aware that he was recording the meeting?
I had no idea.
Okay. Did you ever give permission
to him
to record it? Okay.
No, I don't even speak to the media.
Right.
So I let my guys do it, you know.
Well, and I brought the recording with me, and I just wanted to, as I had mentioned, there's some information on the recording, and we can listen to it. It's up to you. There's two pieces on here that I wanted to reference. There's before we get to that, the recording part. There's many who believe that state statute says that what he did by recording it without your knowledge or authorization is illegal. That was brought to the state attorney's attention here in Miami-Dade by your department. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I believe I have a letter. The Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office decided, for lack of a better term, basically told him, "Don't do it, or we could arrest you for it."
Absolutely.
And he was not arrested for at least that incident. All right, is that what you?
That's correct.
What you remember? Okay. There's two things on the recording. The first one, and we can plug it in if you want, because I put the date or the time stamps on there that I want to talk about. There was one thing that he gave you where you said that you went to go make, and it says that you made a copy of it. Apparently on the tape, you walked out, you made a copy. I think it was a list of things that he put together about bad officers.
Really?
And
I didn't know that.
Okay, and we can plug it in, and that's fine with you. And then at the end of the tape, there was a piece where you had mentioned that you were going to take a look at the documents. Would you like to hear? I mean, I can play if you have something. If you've got the computer, I think we asked, and we to play that for you, because I just want, like I said, your response of what you recall from that based on this recording. Is that okay with you? Would you like to hear? Do you have? Would you like to respond?
Not really.
Would you like to respond to it? Does your computer play audio?
Yeah, I'm not. Wait a minute. Let me see. I have to get one of my guys to do it.
Is it? I mean, I can help. Is it on? Is it on? Is your computer on?
Yeah, it's on.
If I may, that's from the. If you want to put the CD in for me. And again, that thing's about an hour and a half long, and
it is?
yeah, we're not going to listen to the whole thing, but I wanted to make sure we keep it in. You can just push it in, keep it into context. Mr. Tamayo, same thing. If we need to go further back to listen to the context, but is it the power on?
Yeah, I ain't touched this thing since I've been in here.
Yeah, I think all we need to do is turn.
Yeah, they just changed my
the power on here. No, I got my computer in the car too.
I can get somebody to to take care of it.
Is it all right? Can we?
Yeah, what we'll do is we're going to pause the recording at this point, and we'll go back on once we get everything set up, if that's okay. Okay, this is Inspector Brett Lysette with FDLE. This is a continuation of the interview of Homestead Police Chief Alexander Rolle. Prior to coming back on tape, we played Mr. Rolle two parts of a audio recording as it related to Mr. McDonough's complaint. The first piece that we talked about, or that you listened to, was there was a portion where he had presented some information about some negative stuff at Homestead Police Department, and you had asked on the tape to go make a copy of it. And on the tape, you went out, and I would assume that it was to make a copy. There was that, and then there was, at the end of the meeting, you had mentioned to Mr. McDonough that asked him what else that you could do for him, and that you were going to take a look at this stuff, or all the stuff, basically referring to, I guess, his stuff. So that just brings me back to our original question. Do you recall, after listening to that now, were there documents that he presented to you that you kept, that you looked at, to the best of your recollection? Can you remember?
I may have looked at them, but I didn't keep anything.
Okay.
And as far as making a copy, I didn't make a copy of anything either.
Okay.
Because I don't make copies. My secretary makes copies.
Okay. Well, would you have gone out and had her make it? I mean, I don't want to split hairs. Would she have made a copy and then given it to you?
Well,
or
at that time, because I heard that, I may have said I'm going to make a copy, but when I went out, I didn't go out to make copies.
Okay.
I went to look for Tony Aquino. I didn't go out to make copies.
All right, so as it... Do you need to get that?
No, that's okay.
So as it relates, let me just summarize this piece of it. You recall the meeting?
I recall the meeting.
That you had with Mr. McDonough?
Yes.
You recall that it was about issues of an officer here at Homestead
Yes.
Police? You do recall him bringing in paperwork?
Yes.
But you do not recall keeping any of the paperwork that he provided?
I wouldn't have kept it. Even if I looked at it, I would have given it back to him because it had nothing to do with Homestead Police Department. Okay. The stuff that I've seen, you know.
Right. Well, and you saw some of the stuff was historical stuff based on one of the officers. I mean, he referenced some other things in there that we're not here to get into. But, so you don't recall keeping any of the paperwork?
No.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, the reason why I would call keeping anything, because if I called Detective Aquino out here to investigate that would have gone with him. Right. I wouldn't kept it because for what reason? I don't investigate stuff. And on top of it, I was thinking when I heard that, if he went down with Tony Aquino to talk to him about the investigation, what was the paperwork? What did he discuss? And when he leave, why didn't he take the paper with him? But I asked for it. Right, now I got you. So again, the copy part was you don't recall making a copy even though you went out, and the comment of that you'll take a look at the stuff. What does that mean? That means that I'm going to call the detective down, Internal Affairs, to look at this stuff because that's what I do. Perfect. Okay. That's what I do.
So after that, apparently an Internal Affairs investigation was conducted on his specific complaint.
Yes.
And we'll talk to the commander later about that. And eventually he does a public records request he advised us that he reviewed the IA file.
Correct.
He alleges that the documentation that he gave to you was not included in that IA file.
Right.
So therefore he goes and he does a public records request, and the exact request was was date stamped at least by the city clerk on September 5th. And the request was copies of all documentation I gave to Chief Rolle on 2/7/2014 regarding my complaint against Officer Magrido. Were you involved? There was later involved, but did you have anything to do with this initial public records request that you remember?
No, I had nothing to do with it.
Okay. So now what he does is he receives some information from the clerk's office. We spoke with the clerk, and they said basically they refer the request to you guys.
Yes.
Homestead puts whatever records together, gives it back to her, and then the clerk's office, and then they send it back to
I have a person in charge.
Okay. McDonough provided us some emails of going back and forth with the deputy clerk who was responsible at the clerk's office for that exchange. And basically the email was that she said he owed some money, and then he received the documentation. He sends a email back, and it basically, shortened version was, this isn't completely responsive to my request because it doesn't have all the other documentation in it that he alleges that he gave to you. He asked the clerk's office to have Homestead PD respond to his concern that I didn't get all the documentation.
Right.
They sent back to him that they did a review and that the police department advised there were no additional documents provided on 2/7/14. Do you remember anybody coming to ask you, at least at that point?
No, one of my captains told me that he had put in a request and said we had some paperwork of his, and I told him I don't have anything belonging to him.
Okay. And what happens is later is after she sent the initial response saying that you guys didn't have anything, he sends another email back and says, Dear Patricia, Miss Sullivan at the clerk, and it says, was this confirmed by Chief Rolle? Chief Rolle was the recipient of these documents which were part of my complaint. These are public records. And then she sends back after speaking, I think, with your custodian of records here, that they spoke. In fact, we got the email from Captain,
Captain Graham?
Captain Mally Graham,
Captain Graham, yes.
Who said that she spoke with you and Detective Aquino on the morning of September 23rd, and they advised that there was no additional Do you remember speaking with her about that?
That was a comment I just made, but she spoke to me about that. I told her I didn't have anything, I didn't see anything. And if I did, he would have had it. I don't have no reason to keep the paperwork.
Louis, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. Chief, I just want to summarize real quick, and I already did a little bit, but now that we're at the end, you recall having a meeting with him talking
Yes.
about the officer?
Yes, absolutely.
You recall him bringing in paperwork, but you don't recall keeping any of the paperwork?
No. He brought all this stuff in, but keeping his paperwork,
Okay.
I don't know where it's at. I didn't keep it, and I wouldn't have kept it.
Okay.
I had no need for it, and I don't know where it went.
Okay.
Do you remember giving any documentation to Commander Aquino?
I don't know. I don't think I did. I think I gave it back to him. I believe I gave it back to him because whatever he showed me, or whatever I looked at, or whatever, I gave it back to him because I wouldn't have kept it. And if I made a copy of it, I wouldn't have kept his copy. You know what I mean? So I don't understand where he's coming from. I think he's looking for something. It's not there. I don't need to keep the paperwork. I address his complaint with my people, like I always do. I've done that for the 17 years I've been police chief. So whatever he's looking for, he's barking up the wrong tree because I don't.
Right. Bottom line is, you may have looked at some of the stuff that he had, but you did not keep any paperwork.
No, I didn't keep any paperwork.
Okay. And then we talked about you recall people talking to you about the public records request, but weren't activally involved in.
Oh no, I wasn't involved.
Okay.
My secretary Captain Graham, she mentioned something to me one day when I was walking out of my office, and I told her that I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have anything belonging to him. His complaint was with IA. IA dealt with everything. They let me know what's going on once things was finished, but I don't get involved in none of that. I just want to know, has it been taken care of, and what's the outcome? That's my concern.
Do you know what you were referring to at the end of the tape when you actually said, I'll review all this?
I probably was saying that I'm going to give it to Internal Affairs,
Okay.
because, that's what we do, because if stuff comes to me, which this is kind of rare, because really I don't really talk to these people.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, I think I may have did the mayor a favor, the past mayor a favor, just to talk to him, and he comes up here with a tape recorder. I guess he figured he'd been pushed around by everybody, so I guess he wanted to come up here and just tape me without me even knowing about it. And I don't think I gave his plan, but again, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for his paperwork, so. And I didn't keep anything.
Chief, I was just going to say, I don't have any other questions. I don't think Louis does. Is there anything that we haven't asked you that you think is important, to what we're looking into our investigation?
No. I'm just curious about why he would say I kept his paperwork. That part bothers me, because why would I keep paperwork of him showing me something involving a case with another department, if that was the case? But no, I didn't keep anything. He said if I did, if I made a mistake and had it, I would have given it to him before he left here.
Right. Well, he read. There was There was referencing of more documentation about him, the officer talking about potentially lying on an application about drug use and asking you. So there was more documentation that you just looked through that was just more about. But again, you said you don't remember keeping it.
I didn't even look through all that stuff, you know, because I mean, like I said, it's been a long time. I can't remember everything in detail. I can't sit there and say I do.
Understood.
But I do know that I would not keep anything belonging to someone, especially if it's his personal stuff he brought in here. Unless unless it's something we dealing with the IA complaint he had. And at the time, it wasn't nothing that we needed. And I had my guy to go with him. Whatever his complaint was, whatever he had, give it to us and we'll address it. And I don't know what. I don't think he gave Aquino anything either. But that's up to him to tell you that.
Okay. Well, with that, we'll conclude the interview. The time is approximately 10:55 if you don't have anything.
Can I just ask one follow-up?
Sure.
Yeah. So, Chief, when you're talking about the IA investigation, you're saying that you have a procedure. You had a procedure in place for if somebody's making a complaint that Aquino or another one of your officers, detectives would formally receive the complaint and open up a file?
Yes.
Okay, so that wasn't your responsibility, wasn't part of that process?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Which is why anything that was brought in here or discussed here was you redirected to the standard procedures?
That's exactly what I've done for about 17 years I've been here. I would redirect everything to my internal affairs. I don't keep anything on my desk, and I don't do the investigation. I just wait for the findings, and if it's yay or nay or positive or negative, I address it accordingly. That's what I do.
Thank you.
Okay, good. All right, if there's nothing else, we'll conclude the interview. The time is now approximately 10:55 a.m. Chief, thank you, sir, for your time.
I wanted to ask you, sir. Now, if you can verify or document that he lied for employment, do you guys fire people for doing that? I mean, just that alone, forget everything else. I mean,
matter of fact, that's what happened. That's what happened to the one that you said that.
Yeah, I heard that happened to a guy like a week or two ago.
It happened to what's his name? Villarreal. That's one that
Villarreal. Okay.
Illegal. That happened to him.
Okay.
And like I said, we only did that because.
Here's something else I think you should find real interesting. This is his polygraph examination he took to get a job here at Homestead, and you can see where I put the little star. He says that he denied ever using illegal drugs in his life. But if you flip over to the next page is his application for employment, which is several months later, and he said he used to smoke pot.
But I was just saying that if you would have called me or either called him, even at the first two times that went down with Magruder, because this guy nasty him, got to the point where you end up getting yourself arrested, and then
because he lied.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying it just too much stuff happened, and right now it's to the point right now where if you want to pursue this and file suits and everything, this city's gonna have some problems based on what you telling me and what you're showing me.
Oh yeah,
you did some homework.
I went home and I wrote down everything I could remember. And then I started doing some research. Like, I had this list that night.
Let me see it. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you got to listen.
That's just the ones I could find. And like I said, my Google foo ain't that great, but it was good enough to find like 10 or 11 of them.
Which one?
I just generated that. I found all that online. Homestead, police, corruption, dirty cops, corrupt cops, fired cops.
Wow. This was amazing.
Now, I had that in about 30, 45 minutes. I could probably find some more if I went and tried some.
I know. Let me copy this.
Yeah, you can make a copy of
It's
that.
interesting. It's interesting because everybody on there, I dealt with everybody on this list. It's no lie.
Yeah.
Oh, let me have that. I want to keep that because this is interesting. Because I usually don't keep a tab of who I have to spank, but this is interesting. And I was going through I was just going through this.
Now, there was a whole lot more. These are just ones that were like in the last 5 years when I put that together.
That's right.
Like I said, I won't try and find stuff from 30 years ago.
No. I was just curious because
You got them all right. I want to give you this. After I got home that day, I wrote a transcript of the conversation. That's the exact conversation me and Officer McGuido had.
So, you remember all this? Or you just?
I have an uncanny ability to memorize things.
Oh, because I'm saying this is so detailed, you know. I'm like, wow.
I wanted to give you some stuff, and if you want, we can meet again. I have a whole lot more information. I just want to try to get you as much so you could kind of start digesting it. I didn't want to come in and bring you office boxes full of stuff to digest. And here is a signed certified copy I got from Detective Aquino. I just wrote this for your benefit. I originally called on 124. McGuido filed the criminal complaint on 215. He filed the restraining order on 228, and the 228 is the restraining order where he says that I contacted IA. And Detective Aquino admits we never talked till 319. How do you know that I contacted IA 2 months before IA ever contacted me? That means he's either lying or he's conspiring with IA. They both can't be true. One of them, it has to be, unless there's something I'm missing. And when Detective Aquino called me on 319, he tried to tell me he was returning my phone call from several days earlier when it was over 2 months. And he had no explanation for why the officer knew that I had contacted IA or why they advised him to file a protection order against me.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County Cop Watch, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I have just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheeple up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Charlotte County Cop Watch with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me and I'm sick of it, so I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave let's say actually yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, at least I can do it. 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea too that we have is, if I got some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here, and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. 47,000 of you so far right now. $1 a day. $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head, help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.